Welcome to the AusGel podcast, where we bring the gel ball community together. Each week we have a special guest where we talk about what's new in the world of gel ball, be it milsim, speedball, and everything in between. Now, welcome to our host. Hi, I'm Dan from AusGel.
And I'm Josh from OZ1 Airsoft.
And I'm Adam from Skirmish Sports Australia.
And we're going to have a chat to both of these gentlemen about our beloved sport here in Australia. All right, guys, first, thank you so much for making the trek up from New South Wales. Appreciate your time here today. Look, you're both highly passionate activists for airsoft and skirmish sports in Australia. So we just want to learn a little bit more about you gentlemen. So let's start off with Josh from OZ1. Tell us a little bit about OZ1, how you got into it, and what it actually is.
So OZ1 Airsoft is the Australian active airsoft team.
Yep.
About 8 years ago, me and another gentleman who we'd never met before, went over to New Zealand and participated in an event over there. Basically had the entire weekend. It was a full milsim, like massive immersive experience. I'd never done anything like it before.
Yeah.
And we came back and just went, we need to do this again. And,
That's commitment. I mean, so keen to play airsoft that you go overseas to do it.
Yeah, well, I
nuts.
mean, we had the AAC at the time.
Yep.
Brought in, they ran a competition. I didn't win originally, actually.
Yep.
Neither did the other bloke. We both were redraws.
Yeah.
But once we figured out, we were going, I committed to it. I was like, yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
Met the other bloke at the airport. We were both nervous, but extremely excited. And it was basically history from there. It went from 2 blokes to 5 blokes to 25, 50. And then I think the last event was 120
Yeah,
guys.
120. Yeah.
Far out,
Yeah, just
120
and they're all, that's Australians travelling to New Zealand.
Yeah,
So
not
that's
including the New Zealanders.
120 airfares from Australia to New Zealand.
Yes, and we're like,
Plus accommodation and food.
Broome, Cairns, Tasmania, and there's a bunch of us from the East Coast, from the West Coast.
Far
We've
out.
had a crazy amount of people come and commit and just enjoy the weekend, and from all walks of life too, like from absolutely every sort of person you can imagine has come through.
Very similar to
It's been
airsoft
amazing.
overseas.
Yeah, absolutely, and
that's good.
It's been so great.
Oh, fantastic. And Adam, you're here also representing Skirmish Sports Australia. Tell us a little bit more about that and how you got into all of this.
Yeah, correct. So basically, I actually joined up with OZ1, I think it was on your second trip.
Second
over there.
OZ1 trip.
Yeah, so I actually met Josh and a couple of the other guys. Basically, we went through the whole milsim, had an absolute ball.
Yep.
And then we sort of got to the end where we have our sort of communal dinner on the Sunday night.
Yeah.
And I was sitting with Josh and Cal and I said, why is this not happening in Australia? And from there, basically, a bunch of research happened, realised we had a group called the Australian Airsoft Council.
Yep.
Which over time has been sort of ebbing and flowing in terms of what's been happening. We've had Aaron Stonehouse pushing the bill over in WA.
He's been fantastic.
Cannot congratulate him enough with the progressions that he's made. There's been a couple of other people sort of here and there, different sort of petitions and stuff like that. But as COVID sort of hit and we all realised that, hey, we're not actually going to get to New Zealand this year, I really sort of sat down and thought, you know what? Sick of this not being here. And that's where I sort of started contacting some of the older people who were involved in the AAC. I know Kaylee was actually an original member, so he had a lot of those contacts for me. And I said, look, this is my plan. And basically I would like to take this over and focus on doing this, particularly in New South Wales at the moment, because I feel like pretty well every other state has been spoken for. So I feel like nobody's really pushing the envelope in New South Wales, and overall, much like the same with the airsofting world, I feel like we're all going to help each other.
Yep.
But as long as we've got a wheel getting traction in each state, then we can sort of go back and forth between all of them. So that's where that's. And I mean,
I've checked you out on Facebook as well, and Skirmish Sports Australia seems to have quite a large following as well. I think it was like 17,000 people or something like that.
Yeah. So we're nearly at 19.
Wow.
Yeah. So pretty proud to be able to sort of.
Yeah. So I mean, the desire's out there to be involved in skirmish sports. So
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely no arguing that.
100%.
Yeah, but look, I know that COVID has thrown a spanner in the works for you guys because I mean, obviously, you have to travel to New Zealand to play airsoft at the moment, and you can't travel because of COVID. So what are the plans for the next big airsoft event in New Zealand?
I can answer that. We're pretty lucky because we're ready to go right up into the button. We basically had a 2020 event set in stone. It was going to be the decider after two successful events. It was going to be the third one. We had the red team win one, the blue team win another. It was supposed to be the decider. 2020, finish it off, and then we can start something fresh in 2021. So we're ready to go as soon as we get the green light. Basically, we're waiting for this bubble to be announced and then open, and then a couple of months for us to plan, get logistics in the way. I mean, you've got to remember it's a bunch of Aussie guys organising everything in New Zealand. And we've been really,
a little
really
bit challenging.
Lucky. Absolutely. We've been really, really lucky with the support we've had over there. Shout out to Carl and Vic and the boys. But
hey, fellas.
It's been amazing to have that support base over there. And we're kind of ready to just once the green light is ticked and we can fly over, once it's all safe and everyone can be safe, we're ready to go. We can probably run another event. Hopefully this Conquest decider that we've been, sitting on for now.
It's like the third game for State of Origin type thing, but for airsoft.
Yeah, pretty much.
Australian airsoft.
Just better.
There's an equal amount of extreme passion on both the red side and the blue side.
And
all the way in between.
And I mean, you can't go past classic red versus blue in just about anything.
Oh, that's it. And the old Conquest sort of type of just, going and grabbing some land and making sure you hold it for as long as you can. It's relatively simple in theory. Planning it out is another thing, but it's all worth it in the end. It pays off so well, especially really seeing everyone come together.
Yeah, well, look, I think it's fair to say that OZ1 is the most active Australian airsoft scene, which is really ironic because, Australia, and Australia doesn't allow airsoft, for those who don't already know that. Now, do you guys find airsoft to be similar to gel ball in the feel and play style of the sport?
Speaking for myself, I'm going to find out this weekend. That's exactly why I'm up here.
Oh, excellent. So this is your first...
I haven't had a chance to get my hands on the gel ball stuff just yet, but Adam can answer that one.
Yeah, so I've had my feet wet, so to speak. Ultimately, yes. Like we were speaking about before the podcast, it's come a long way in such a short period of time. Seeing the actual, blasters go from, cheap plastic, flimsy, up to like the metal. There's people out there.
Jin Ming Terminator V1 type stuff.
That's it. Like I said to you, my first one was the LDT HK416. My friend that actually lives up here and plays regularly was blown away by that when that first came out. So obviously I'm like, okay, I'll jump on that. And it's just gone from strength to strength. The only thing that I really get frustrated about is the accuracy, but I mean, you're dealing with a water pellet, so I'm really actually keen to try out your new ones and see what they're like.
I mean, they're doing quite well out there in the community. Obviously, you can see it written everywhere on social, but we're not stopping there. So we're still trying to push the boundaries with gel ball while keeping them legal. So
of course,
so that's a big one. But but I mean, look, with all of these events, what kind of challenges do you face when organising a team to face? To attend events abroad in general?
So in general, it takes a lot of time. Basically, we'll announce, Cal, who runs it with me, he and I like to take the first 3 months of the year off. So basically, we'll come back, it'll be an October event, and we'll finish in like November. We'll take about 3 months before we even start thinking about what we're going to do, and then we'll announce in March. And it takes from March to, pretty much right up to September to make sure we've got, if we're getting 50 people, if we're getting 100 people, getting the New Zealand constituents sort of, ready, getting all the logistics ready, and then making sure that we can have a fun and fair game, especially how we divide the teams, what the uniforms are going to be like, designing all the lore, like literally creating an actual environment where everyone wants to play and setting up the...
And by law, you mean L-O-R-E, not L-A-W, so the story.
The storyline behind it all.
Excellent.
Because it's no fun just going out and being like, you go there and you go there. It's like, you have to do this for this reason, and, creating the entire storyline behind it. So,
great stuff.
I think it's actually really important to say that you guys don't just put on a game. You put on an event, like every time. Even though I am involved in a very limited capacity, to be able to come over there, and I feel like I kind of try and stay out of the loop, so it can be that experience, but it's unbelievable. Like, I've never been to anything like that. Like I said, I've been to the Milsim up here, but it's just unbelievable, the depth that you actually go to. And it does help having the guys over in over in NZ who.
Oh yeah, we couldn't do it without him.
100%. But it is really, really important to say.
And having
that
that
it's not
law,
just
I
a game.
guess, it would help with the immersion of the event
100%.
in a big way.
Yeah, I mean, it started with us, taking on whatever the guys thought, like this, you should do this and this and this, and to us sort of, creating it and being like, can we do this and then that? And like, like we've run 100 games. This all looks fine. You can do it. Go for it. So.
All right, well, I'm going to hit you with this question now. Now, I know that this is what you want, but do you actually believe that we will see airsoft here in Australia in the future?
Yes, 100%. It keeps me going that it's going to happen.
Yep.
It's a matter of time, whether that time's 2 years or 10 years. I have faith that it'll come around, especially with communities up here, like doing this kind of stuff. This is amazing. Like seeing what the gel ball communities come through from, late 2018 when I first heard about it and went, oh, that's interesting. Like especially on home soil.
Yep. I was still in my garage then selling gels.
Exactly. Like this is it's become so huge, and I was like, but that's one of the best things. It's garnering such traction, and I think it's unstoppable. I don't think you could put a roadblock in it if you wanted to at this point. And I hope that it continues because it's a crazy different sport. It's like it's not like no other game. And you can never play the same game twice.
That's true. And what are your thoughts there, Adam?
Look, it's inevitability at this point.
Yeah.
Going at it from not a popularity perspective, but going at it from an economic perspective.
Yeah.
I know the industry, like the ABC just released a new report saying it's something like a $200 million industry.
I know where they got that from.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. So I mean, like, let's be real. How old was the sport up here? Like 3 years. Like 3 years at a stretch. Yeah. Okay. In 3 years, they've generated $200 million in one state. Yeah. New South Wales alone has more population than Queensland. Okay. So as that sort of goes through, it's going to become apparent that, hey, this is actually a gold mine.
Yeah.
And that's going to get the politicians on board.
Yep.
And then in turn, we use them to, get us in front of the police to then push the agenda as well. So
I mean, there's a lot that airsoft, I think, could do for Australians. I mean, when you consider that, you've got companies like Wolverine Airsoft who manufacture their own airsoft guns in the USA, there is nothing stopping Australian businesses from doing the same over here. No. In fact, I think there's Azrael's Armory. Actually, their podcast is coming out next week after we film this one, which will already have been released, I believe. But I know that I saw pictures pop up where they're starting to look at creating their own, and I think that's great because that's where we start to promote growth in the way of Aussie jobs.
Yes,
and that's what's needed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, now let's learn a little bit more about you both. Considering you're in a state where gel ball is banned, do you participate in other skirmish sports while you're here in Australia, like paintball?
I definitely have. I've seen. I've done both laser skirmish and paintball, like a bunch of paintball days. It lacks the depth sometimes, I think, that I get from airsoft. I mean, I'm not going out and playing 48-hour paintball games. But it's definitely a good way to sort of, take the edge off while I can't get over there.
And geez, a 48-hour paintball game, imagine how much that would cost.
Oh, the cost alone would be...
Oh, my God. Yeah.
The only danger would be me having a heart attack. Figure out what the bill is at the end.
When you look at your bank. Oh, jeez. That's good stuff. How about yourself, Adam? Do you do anything extra outside of...
obviously, prior to COVID, came up here, played some gel ball, love it. Laser skirmish, have done that as well. Paintball, like I said, I try everything once, but it really, honestly, it wasn't for me. I don't know what it was exactly, but something about getting up in this jumpsuit with a tank under your arm, and I don't know, it just really didn't do it for me. But I can obviously see the merit in it, So I feel like, particularly New South Wales, right? They have a fantastic way of doing things now, where it's not being regulated by the firearms registry.
That was last year or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, but they're making their own inroads, which is awesome. But again, not really for me.
Yeah.
So definitely gel ball and airsoft.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Now, do you think that gel ball has helped to increase the popularity of OZ1 and the NZ tours at all?
Definitely. So the last, it was very evident, not in 2018, but in 2019. We had probably at least 20 gel guys come over, pushing those numbers over the 100 mark easily into the 120s, 150s. Like, including all the Kiwis that were there. It was wild. There was a bunch of CEH guys jumped on a bus and just had a ride of a time. And I was like, oh, these guys like know what they're doing.
I remember seeing
they were
Grant
trained.
Pigeon come up.
I've never seen Aussies trained in a way that they were like, they had teamwork. They had like, they had the signals going. I was like, these guys know what they're doing. And we're actually up in one of the warehouses in Zone 67.
Yep.
And we're watching these guys move, and I was like, they have not done this before.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They're moving around. This is going to be amazing to see on field, because this is before we got out there.
Yeah.
And then on field, they were just amazing. Like there was a couple of different shops sent guys up, and it was amazing to meet everyone. And just be like, you guys are in the industry at home, and that was wild, because I was running this event overseas, and seeing them come over and then jump at a bus and just rock up to the field every day, enthusiastic, ready to go, like best sportsmen as well. Like they were even from different at the time, different shops, just like getting along as if
Because I think,
like everyone else.
I remember seeing Grant Pigeon from Command Elite turn up, and then there was also Marty and Iggy from memory had also come over from Azrael's. And when you see that Australian representation over there, it's gives you the warm and fuzzies, doesn't it?
Oh, it was amazing. There was a couple of TAC Edge guys as well. We were waiting at the airport for one of them to come through, and I was like, it was wicked. So it's definitely increased the popularity of the team. I mean, there's very strict rules to get into OZ1. You have to want to play airsoft and get a plane ticket. Those are the rules.
Pretty harsh.
Yeah, but it was amazing to see them sort of kit up and get ready to go, and just even helping out some of the newer guys that had just started or that had just come over for the first time, taking the gel ball knowledge and just applying it to the airsoft field, or helping when someone's guns jammed. It was amazing to see.
And that's really good. I mean, you mentioned TAC Edge there, and I mean, it's great to see companies like that supporting it too, because TAC Edge has done an amazing job fighting for gel ball in South Australia at the moment. And obviously, they essentially opened the floodgates for us up here in Queensland too. So great to see them still throwing all that support behind it. Really, really
Absolutely.
good. Yeah. All right. Now, you mentioned, Adam, earlier on that you wanted to do a bit of a plug.
Yeah, it might be a little bit long-winded, so I am sorry for that.
That's all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is your Danos Direct commercial. All right, go for it.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah. If you're one of the first,
that's a throwback to the 90s.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, when I set up Skirmish Sports Australia, I started to search out people that could help us. Now, I'm a firearms owner in New South Wales. I recreational hunt. I vermin control on my parents' property. And basically, I'm very passionate about my firearms. Almost as passionate as airsoft. So when I sort of started looking into this and all the roadblocks that we were sort of coming up against typically, I noticed a pattern of basically trying to steer away from the whole firearms agenda. And basically what I thought is, what's the harm in trying, to get in contact with some of these groups who advocate for, fair adjudication of firearms owners. That led me down the road of the National Shooting Council. For those of you that aren't aware, National Shooting Council is an Australian organisation that basically stands up for the rights of shooters who are, being downtrodden. They've overturned multiple firearms bans throughout the country, not just in one state, but throughout the country. Most recently over in WA. They have been sort of pushing inquests into the mishandling of firearms owners, like personal information. So there was the Queensland data breach, which was an email that was sent out. So they've been looking into all of that sort of stuff, along with some other organisations as well. And basically I approached them and said, look, this is what I'm doing. You guys have been doing it way longer in a much more professional capacity. Where would you steer me? And they were like, how about we don't steer you? How about you help us and we'll help you? They have said, look, we've got a barrister on board who focuses purely on firearms, and they use him to overturn all the firearms bans and things like that. And then from there, basically, they've set me up with a code for their membership program. So their membership is generally a $35 membership per year. But if you use the code SKSA10, all lowercase.
Up on the screen here right now.
you will actually be able to get your first year's membership for $10. Now, I know a lot of people out there probably aren't into firearms. They don't care about firearms. But honestly, these guys need to see the support from the Skirmish Sports Australia organisation and its community to be able to provide us with the help that we need to start putting us in front of politicians, police ministers, opening the doors for us, because the organisation's members are actually ex-parliamentarians. So they know who we need to go and talk to.
They know how to navigate that difficult environment.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Now, guys, wrapping it up, thank you so much for joining us. Now, tell us how we can find out more about the NSC and Skirmish Sports Australia, Adam.
Sure. So you can actually jump onto our Facebook page. That's really all I have active at the moment. We are working on a website in the background, but I work 7 days a week. I've only got so many hours in the day. So that's what we're sort of doing in the background. But please jump online to Facebook. Our Facebook page is just Skirmish Sports Australia. It has a bright green logo. You can't miss it. You've probably seen ads floating around because I do run ads every now and then. And reach out through the message feature if you want to actually have a chat. If you're a business that actually wants to have a chat and help us out, I'd love to hear from you. So that's where you can find out about us. For the National Shooting Council, I have links all over my page. You've also got their Facebook page and their website. So again, if you want more information about them, don't hesitate to reach out to our messaging platform. I will steer you in the right direction.
Excellent, thanks, Adam. And Josh, tell us how we can find out about OZ1 and how to get overseas to New Zealand to play some airsoft.
Well, I don't shut up about it, so you'll definitely be able to hit me up on the Facebook page, OZ1 Airsoft Australia, or just oz1airsoft.com.
Excellent.
Which is our website. And there's messaging features on there as well. Send through a message. We're always happy to help out. If you're keen to play airsoft and come to New Zealand, I've definitely got time for you.
Good stuff. All right, guys. And as always, I'm Dan from Ozgel. You can find Ozgel at www.ozgel.com.au. We're across all the socials as Ozgel or Ozgel Ammo. Thanks for your time. See you later.
See you guys.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning into our podcast. It means a lot to us. If you enjoyed today's podcast, leave a comment or review below and hit the follow or subscribe button. If you have any questions or want to be part of a future episode or even want to know more about Ozgel, head to ozgel.com.au to get in touch.